This week's articles are: Samsung confirms data breach after hackers leak internal source code. NVIDIA leaked codes used to steal data. Google says Russian hackers target Ukrainians' European allies via phishing attacks. Microsoft patch Tuesday, March addressed 71 bugs including 3 zero-day. And gaming company Ubisoft confirms it was hacked, reset staff passwords. Samsung confirms data breach after hackers leak internal source code. Samsung has confirmed a security breach after hackers obtained and leaked almost 200 gigabytes of confidential data, including source code for various technologies and algorithms for biometric unlock operations. The Lapsus hacking group, the same group that infiltrated NVIDIA and subsequently published thousands of employee credentials online, took responsibility for the breach. In a post on its Telegram channel, Lapsus claims to have obtained source code for trusted applets installed in Samsung's Trust Zone environment, which Samsung phones use for performing sensitive operations, algorithms for all biometric unlock operations, and bootloader source code for all recent Samsung Galaxy devices. The stolen data also allegedly includes confidential data from the US chip maker Qualcomm, which supplies chipsets for Samsung smartphones sold in the United States. Access to source code can help threat actors find security vulnerabilities that otherwise might not be easily found, potentially opening affected devices or systems to exploitation or data infiltration. A spokesperson for Samsung confirmed a security breach related to some internal company data, but said no personal data belonging to customers or employees was accessed by the hackers. According to our initial analysis, the breach involves some source code relating to operations of Galaxy devices, but does not include the personal information of our consumers or employees, Samsung said. Currently, we do not anticipate any impact to our business or customers. We have implemented measures to prevent further such incidents and will continue to serve our customers without disruption. When reached, Qualcomm said it was aware of an incident reportedly involving Samsung. We take these claims very seriously and are working exponentially with Samsung to understand the scope of the incident, as well as to confirm what Qualcomm data, if any, has been impacted. We have no reason to believe that Qualcomm systems or security were impacted as a result of this reported incident, said Qualcomm spokesperson Claire Conley. It is not yet clear whether Lapsus demanded a ransom from Samsung before leaking the data. As it did with increasingly bizarre demands aimed at NVIDIA, the gang called on the US chip maker to disable its controversial light hash rate (LHR) feature and demanded it open source its graphic chip drivers for macOS, Windows, and Linux devices. That deadline came and went on Friday, but the hacking group has yet to follow through with its threat. And that article is from TechCrunch. NVIDIA leak codes used to steal data. Attackers have begun using NVIDIA code sign-in certificates in malware like Rat and Mimikatz to gain access to other people's PCs. The data was leaked to the web after the company was recently hacked by the Lapsus group, as mentioned in the previous article. Stolen certificates are being used to develop a new generation of malware. Bleeping Computers has already compiled a list of remote access Trojans, backdoors, and other ways to take over victims' PCs from a distance. All of them use the NVIDIA digital signature so that the systems cannot detect the executable file. NVIDIA was hacked on February the 26th. Hackers stole DLSS source codes, employee credentials, and other information from the company with a total size of 1 terabyte. And the source of that article is championnat.com. Google, Russian hackers target Ukrainians' European allies via phishing attacks. A broad range of threat actors, including Fancy Bear, Ghostwriter, and Mustang Panda, have launched phishing campaigns against Ukraine, Poland, and other European entities amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Google's threat analysis group, TAG, said it took down 2 Blogspot domains that were used by the nation-state group Fancy Bear, aka APT28, which is attributed to Russia's GRU military intelligence as a landing page for its social engineering attacks. The disclosure comes close on the heels of an advisory from the Computer Emergency Response Team of Ukraine, Search-UA, warning of a phishing campaign targeting UKR.net users that involves sending messages from compromised accounts containing links to attacker-controlled credential harvesting pages. Another cluster of threat activity concerns webmail users of UKR.net, yandex.ru, wp.pl, rambler.ru, meta.ua, and i.ua, who have been at the receiving end of phishing attacks by a Belarusian threat actor tracked as Ghostwriter, aka UNC1151. The hacker group also conducted credential phishing campaigns over the past week against Polish and Ukrainian government and military organizations, Shane Huntley, director of Google TAG, said in a report. Separately, Search-UA disclosed details of a cyber attack undertaken by UNC1151 group aimed at Ukrainian state organizations using a malware called Micro Backdoor that's delivered to compromised systems in the form of Microsoft-compiled HTML help file dovidka.chm. But it's not just Russia and Belarus who have set their sights on Ukraine and Europe. Included in the mix is a China-based threat actor known as Mustang Panda, aka TA416 or Red Delta, attempting to plant malware in targeted European entities with lures relating to Ukrainian invasion. The findings were also separately corroborated by enterprise security firm Proofpoint, which detailed a multi-year TA416 campaign against diplomatic entities in Europe starting in the early November 2021, counting an individual involved in refugee and migrant services on February 28th, 2022. The infection sequence entailed embedding a malicious URL in a phishing message using a compromised email address of a diplomat from a European NATO country, which when clicked delivered an archive file incorporating a dropper that in turn downloaded a decoy document to retrieve the final stage plug-X malware. The disclosures come as a deluge of distributed denial of service attacks have bombarded numerous Ukrainian sites, such as those associated with the Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs, Internal Affairs, and services like Live UA Map. Russian hackers keep on attacking Ukrainian information resources non-stop, the State Service of Special Communications and Information Protection of Ukraine said in a tweet over the weekend. The most powerful DDoS attacks exceeded 100 Gbps at their peak. Despite all the involved enemies' resources, the sites of the central government bodies are available. In a related development, the anonymous hacking collective claimed that it took down websites of the Federal Security Services of Russia and that it interrupted the live feeds for several Russian TV channels and streaming services like Wink, Ivy, Russia 24, Channel 1 and Moscow 24 to broadcast war footage from Ukraine. The wave of counterattacks against Russia has been galvanized by the formation of an IT army, a crowdsourced Ukrainian government initiative that's relying on digital warfare to disrupt Russian government and military targets. The development also follows Russia's decision to ban Facebook and throttle other widely used social media platforms in the country, just as technology companies from the US have moved to sever ties with Russia, effectively creating an iron curtain and curtailing online access. And that article is from the Hackers News. Microsoft patch Tuesday, March addresses 71 bugs including 3 zero-day. The first of 3 0 days that Microsoft fixed in the March patch Tuesday includes a remote code execution flaw in Windows Remote Desktop Client. The vulnerability CVE 2022-21990 received an important severity rating with a CVSS score of 8.3. Exploiting the bug merely required an attacker to trick the target client into connecting to a malicious RDP server. Then, the second 0 day, CVE 2022-24459, an important severity bug achieving a CVSS score of 7.8, affecting Windows fax and scan service. Exploiting the bug could lead to privileges escalation. Finally, the tech giant described the third security bug, CVE 2022-24512, as a remote code execution in .NET and Visual Studio. Microsoft listed it as an important severity vulnerability that attained a CVSS score of 6.3. Microsoft confirmed that all 3 patches, they demand attention from the users. Other Microsoft Patch Tuesday March updates. Among the regular updates in the Patch Tuesday March, Microsoft fixed 3 critical vulnerabilities leading to remote code execution upon exploitation. These vulnerabilities affected Microsoft Exchange Server CVE 2022-232771 and a rating of 8.8. VP9 video extensions CVE 2022-24501 and a CVSS of 7.8, and HEVC video extensions CVE 2022-22006 with a score of 7.8. Besides all the other vulnerabilities, including important severity bugs resulting in privilege escalation, remote code execution, spoofing, and information disclosure, some of the noteworthy bugs include CVE 2022-24508, remote code execution flaw with a score of 8.8 in Windows SMBv3, client/server CVE 2022-23266, privilege escalation with a 7.8 score in Microsoft Defender for IoT, CVE 2022-23285, remote code execution, 8.8 score, affecting remote desktop client, CVE 2022-24464, denial of service bug with a score of 7.5, affecting .NET and Visual Studio. Since the updates are just released, it might take a while to reach all the users globally. Nonetheless, all Windows end users must update their systems at the earliest to avoid any risks, and that is from the latest hacking news. And lastly, gaming company Ubisoft confirms it was hacked, resets staff passwords. French video game company Ubisoft on Friday confirmed it was a victim of a cybersecurity incident causing temporary disruptions to its games, systems, and services. The Montreal-headquartered firm said that an investigation into the breach was underway and that it has initiated a company-wide password reset as a precautionary measure. Also, we can confirm that all our games and services are functioning normally and that at this time there is no evidence any player personal information was accessed or exposed as a byproduct of this incident, the company said in a statement. The news of this hack comes amid a string of high-profile attacks targeting NVIDIA, Samsung, Mercado Libre and Vodafone in recent weeks. While the extortionist gang Lapsus claimed responsibility for these attacks, it's not immediately clear if the group is behind the Ubisoft breach as well. Technology news site The Verge, which first reported the development, said that the criminal group seemed to confirm their involvement, although it bears noting that Lapsus hasn't been vocal about taking credit like it did in the other cases. Unlike other ransomware groups that steal and encrypt proprietary information for a ransom, Lapsus extorts the targets by plundering the sensitive data and holding it hostage and threatening with leakage should their demands not be fulfilled. And that is from the Hackers News. And that fulfills all of this week's podcast. I will see you next week. Be safe.